Syria, officially known as the Syrian Arab Republic, is a country located in the Middle East. It has a rich history that dates back thousands of years and has been home to various civilizations, including the ancient Mesopotamians, Assyrians, Persians, Greeks, Romans, and Byzantines. Geographically, Syria shares borders with Turkey to the north, Iraq to the east, Jordan to the south, Israel to the southwest, Lebanon to the west, and the Mediterranean Sea to the northwest. The country's diverse landscape includes the fertile plains of the Mediterranean coast, the vast Syrian desert, and the mountain ranges of the anti-Lebanon and the Syrian portion of the Taurus Mountains. History. Syria's history is marked by a series of conquests and occupations by different empires. It gained independence from France in 1946 and has since experienced periods of political instability, coups, and authoritarian rule. In March 2011, Syria was engulfed by a devastating civil war that emerged as a result of the Arab Spring protests and escalated into a complex conflict involving multiple factions and international actors. Demographics. The population of Syria is predominantly composed of Arabs, with Kurdish, Assyrian, and Armenian minorities. Arabic is the official language, and Islam is the dominant religion, with the majority of Syrians being Sunni Muslims. Other religious communities include Alawites, Christians, Druze, and Shia Muslims. Syrian Civil War. The Syrian Civil War, which began in 2011, has had a profound impact on the country. It started as a pro-democracy uprising against President Bashar al-Assad's regime but quickly escalated into a full-scale armed conflict. The war has resulted in significant casualties, forced displacement, and extensive damage to infrastructure and historical sites. The conflict involves multiple actors, including the Syrian government, opposition groups, extremist organizations such as ISIS, Islamic State of Iraq and Syria, Kurdish forces, and various international powers supporting different factions. The war has drawn regional and international involvement, with countries like Russia, Iran, Turkey, and the United States providing support to different sides. Efforts to find a political solution in the conflict have been challenging, with numerous ceasefire agreements and peace talks taking place. However, the war continues to have a devastating impact on the Syrian people and has led to a humanitarian crisis, including widespread displacement and a refugee influx into neighboring countries and Europe. Cultural heritage. Syria has a rich cultural heritage that spans thousands of years. The country is home to numerous historical and archaeological sites, including the ancient city of Damascus, which is one of the oldest continuously inhabited cities in the world. Palmyra, an ancient desert city, was renowned for its well-preserved Roman ruins until it suffered significant damage during the Civil War. The Crac des Chevaliers, a medieval fortress, is another notable UNESCO World Heritage Site. Syrian culture is diverse and influenced by various civilizations that have left their mark on the region. Traditional music, dance, and cuisine play an essential role in Syrian culture, and the country has produced renowned poets, writers, and artists. Humanitarian crisis. The Syrian civil war has led to a severe humanitarian crisis. Millions of Syrians have been internally displaced, while millions more have sought refuge in neighboring countries and beyond. The strain on host communities and the inadequate provision of resources have created challenges for both the refugees and the countries hosting them. International organizations and humanitarian agencies have been working to provide aid and support to those affected by the conflict. However, the scale of the crisis and ongoing violence have made it difficult to address the needs of all affected populations adequately. Reconstruction and future challenges. As the conflict in Syria persists, the country faces the enormous task of reconstruction once the war eventually comes to an end. Rebuilding infrastructure, restoring basic services, and creating conditions for the safe return of displaced people are among the significant challenges that lie ahead. Additionally, the war has exacerbated sectarian tensions and created divisions within Syrian society. Reconciliation and fostering a sense of unity among different religious and ethnic communities will be vital for long-term stability and peace in the country. In summary, Syria is a country with a rich history, diverse culture, and a tragic recent past marked by the ongoing civil war. The conflict has had a devastating impact on the country and its people, resulting in widespread destruction and displacement. The path to recovery and stability in Syria remains uncertain, but efforts towards finding a political solution and addressing the humanitarian crisis continue. International involvement. The Syrian civil war has attracted significant international involvement. Various countries have supported different factions for geopolitical and strategic reasons. Russia has been a key ally of the Syrian government, providing military support. Iran has also been a major supporter of the Syrian government and has deployed military personnel to assist in the conflict. On the other hand, countries like the United States, Turkey, and some Gulf states have provided support to opposition groups. The involvement of these external actors has complicated the conflict and further extended its duration. ISIS and terrorism. The rise of the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria, ISIS, in Syria and Iraq added another layer of complexity to the conflict. ISIS exploited the power vacuum and instability created by the war to seize large swathes of territory and establish a self-proclaimed caliphate. The group carried out brutal acts of violence, persecution, and mass destruction of cultural heritage sites. A coalition of international forces, led by the United States, conducted military operations against ISIS, gradually reclaiming territory from the group. While ISIS has suffered significant territorial losses, it remains a threat, and its ideology continues to inspire extremist movements globally. Human rights violations. The Syrian conflict has been marked by severe human rights abuses committed by various parties involved. The Syrian government has been accused of widespread torture, extrajudicial killings, and the use of chemical weapons against civilian populations. Opposition groups and extremist organizations have also been implicated in human rights violations, including arbitrary arrests, executions, and the recruitment of child soldiers. The United Nations and human rights organizations have documented numerous cases of war crimes and crimes against humanity. Refugee crisis. The Syrian civil war has triggered one of the largest refugee crises in recent history. Millions of Syrians have fled their homes, seeking safety in neighboring countries such as Turkey, Lebanon, Jordan, and Iraq. The burden on host countries has been immense, straining resources and infrastructure. Additionally, a significant number of refugees have undertaken dangerous journeys to Europe, leading to a refugee influx that has posed political and social challenges for the receiving countries. Reconstruction challenges. The task of post-war reconstruction in Syria is immense. The country faces the daunting challenge of rebuilding cities, homes, and infrastructure that have been ravaged by years of conflict. The cost of reconstruction is estimated to be in the billions of dollars, and the process will require significant international support and cooperation. However, the political complexities and ongoing security concerns make the reconstruction efforts highly challenging. Political and diplomatic efforts. Several initiatives and diplomatic efforts have been undertaken to find a political solution to the Syrian conflict. The United Nations has facilitated multiple rounds of peace talks, known as the Geneva Peace Process, bringing together representatives from the Syrian government and opposition groups. However, reaching a comprehensive and lasting resolution has proven difficult due to deep-rooted divisions, power struggles, and the involvement of external actors with conflicting interests. It's important to note that the situation in Syria is dynamic and subject to change. The complexities and multifaceted nature of the conflict make it a challenging issue to address comprehensively. Destruction of cultural heritage. The Syrian conflict has resulted in the destruction and looting of numerous cultural heritage sites. Historical landmarks, archaeological sites, museums, and religious monuments have been damaged or destroyed. This loss is not only devastating to Syria but also to world heritage as a whole, as these sites hold significant historical and cultural value. Chemical weapons attacks. Syria has faced allegations of using chemical weapons during the conflict. In 2013, a large-scale chemical weapons attack took place in the suburbs of Damascus, resulting in hundreds of civilian deaths. The attack drew international condemnation, and the Syrian government was accused of violating the Chemical Weapons Convention. Following the incident, a joint mission by the United Nations and the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons, OPCW, was established to oversee the destruction of Syria's chemical weapons stockpiles. Humanitarian aid and access. The delivery of humanitarian aid to those in need within Syria has been a challenge due to the ongoing conflict and security risks. Humanitarian organizations face difficulties in accessing areas under siege or controlled by different factions. The provision of essential services, such as food, clean water, healthcare, and education, remains a significant concern for the millions of Syrians affected by the conflict.